Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Detroit Class 313, the show that brings solutions to the issues and concerns of women. Our guest today is Professor Barbara Seldon. She is Associate Professor of Dental Periodontology at the University of Detroit Mercy School of Dentistry. How are you doing today, Professor Seldon?
How are you?
I told you we was going to have you back.
Yes,
I'm
you
so
did.
glad to have you back because I know you got important information
Thank you.
for ladies out there with children.
I'm so glad to be back.
So, without further ado, we are going to talk about childhood dental decay, right?
That's correct.
So my first question is, what is the cause of early childhood dental decay?
Well, just before I answer that, let me tell you that I'm hoping that from this session that we're having here today, that we'll be able to introduce our audience to the concept of stomping out early childhood decay. What I want most of all is to have a clear understanding that decay is preventable. And if you get it, it's treatable. And if you don't have the knowledge about how to prevent or treat it, it can have some very deleterious impacts on our children. So, in order to answer your question, what is decay? It's pretty much an infection. It is a chronic, severe disease in children, and it can be prevented and it can be treated.
Now, my other question is, how is a cavity formed?
Well, first of all, you need to understand the mouth. The mouth is dark. The mouth is warm. The mouth is dark and warm and wet. The combination of those three factors, along with the bacteria that live within the mouth, live on the food that we introduce to it. Now, the food that the bacteria likes in the mouth are carbohydrates and sugars. When you introduce those sugars into the mouth, the bacteria then begins to eat those sugars. When they eat those sugars, they give off an acid. And this acid lives with the bacteria in the plaque on the teeth, and it sits there, and it demineralizes the enamel. Now, the enamel is the outer coating of your teeth. It's the color of the teeth that is white, and it causes that enamel to break down, and it creates a hole. That hole creates a cavity. That's called tooth decay. Now, what I want to say to you is that I am an associate professor at the University of Detroit Mercy School of Dentistry. That is true. But I'm here representing the Wolverine Dental Hygienist Society.
Let me stop right there.
Okay.
That is our sponsor.
Yes,
and
it
I
is.
would be remiss if I didn't mention the fact that this show is sponsored by the Wolverine Dental Hygienist Society.
That's correct. And the reason why we're on here today is because they're going to have a program called ACE, AC, Access to Care and Education, for our mothers out there who have children who suffer with dental decay. We're going to have a walkathon on this Saturday at 9 o'clock at Belle Isle. And this walk, the proceeds from which will go to educate particularly children in the Metro Detroit area about how to care for your mouth to prevent dental decay. That's their goal. So we're inviting everyone to come on out Saturday at 9 o'clock at Belle Isle, be with us and walk that 3 miles as we prepare to develop an educational program that we're going to place in the city of Detroit mostly, but around the metropolitan area. And we're going to teach all mothers and all parents how to properly care for their child's teeth to prevent tooth decay.
Now that walkathon is also a fundraiser.
It is.
And again, that's Saturday, August 31st.
Before you ask the next question, there's some things I need to say.
Go ahead.
I need to tell just a few facts. Facts about tooth decay, okay? First of all, it is the most common chronic disease in American children.
Okay.
It's more common than asthma. It's more common than the common cold. more children are absent from school for toothaches and tooth decay than they are for the common cold. 4 out of every 10 children in the city of Detroit have tooth decay. Yet, there is knowledge out there that exists about how to prevent it or to treat it, and this knowledge isn't being applied. What we're recognizing is that there's a problem with access to care, ergo the reason why the Wolverine Dental Hygienist Society is saying we're going to get that knowledge out there, and we're going to figure out how we can reduce those statistics, particularly for children that are African American, children that are Latino or Hispanic.
That's why you're here, and I
That's why
commend
we're
I
here.
commend you for that because it's everything about women and children is close to my heart. Now, I've heard about baby bottle decay. What is baby bottle decay?
Baby bottle decay is early childhood tooth decay. Can you remember parents who maybe have a very irritable child, and the best way to keep the child quiet is to stuff the child's mouth with a bottle?
Oh, yeah.
And in the bottle they usually have Kool-Aid or maybe just water and sugar.
Ooh.
And nowadays maybe they'll even just put the juices in there, like all of the popular juices that are, or pop or sodas or things like that. And their idea is, boy, I don't have time to deal with this crying baby, so I just want to keep it quiet, so I'll stuff its mouth. So all day long, that child is walking around with this bottle with all of this karyogenic, and I use that word meaning sugar-filled or sugar-loved fluids in their mouths.
No.
Now, when a child is born, they do not have the bacteria in their mouth
Okay.
that causes cavities. The bacteria that causes cavities is called Streptococcus mutans. When they are born, that cavity does not exist in that child's mouth. How does that bacteria get into that child's mouth?
Okay, now, good. What happens in a child's mouth with that early childhood decay? What actually happens?
Well, first of all, moms, you've got to remember that you cannot take food and introduce it from your mouth into that child's mouth. If you drop the pacifier on the floor, for example, don't put it in your mouth to wipe it off and then introduce it into your child's mouth. For what are you doing? You are transferring bacteria that doesn't exist in that child from your mouth to that child's mouth. So that tells you not only is dental decay infectious, but it is also contagious. So now in that child's mouth, they have the bacteria that is necessary to create cavities. So they are at risk for decay.
So what you're saying is that, and I've seen it happen, they put it in their mouth to cool it off, then they put it in the child's mouth.
Yes. And
That's the worst thing you can do.
you really don't want to ever do that.
Ever.
Okay, that's right. Okay. Also, when you're starting to feed them and the food you think might be a little too hot and you put it in your mouth to test the temperature, and then you take it from your mouth and introduce it to the child's mouth, you don't want to do that. Okay. And I guess the word I want to say is unsanitary. It just isn't good for the child, and you really are creating an unnecessary problem for the child.
Now, what is the burden of oral disease? What's the burden of that?
Okay. Well, once you get a tooth decay and it goes past the enamel into the dentin and into the nerve of the tooth, the first burden that you're going to have is called tooth pain. Now, when you have a little 5-year-old or a little 6-year-old and they're suffering with tooth pain, they shouldn't have to suffer that. No child in this day and age with the knowledge explosion that's out there should ever have to know what it feels like to have a cavity. They should never have to know what tooth pain feels like. If they have early childhood decay because of the baby bottle, severe decay, and their teeth are all decayed, they have difficulty chewing. It impacts the way they look. For those dark-looking, thin-looking, ugly, if you will, teeth
Oh, wow.
are it interferes with their self-esteem because they won't look very nice. They can't chew because it hurts. So they don't eat well, so it affects their diet. Therefore, it affects their livelihood later on. So it can be so many different things that happen. And I guess probably the most important thing that could happen is that you probably never heard of it, but some children may end up needing childhood dentures. Remove all of those babies' teeth until the adult teeth can come in. And that if that happens, then they're going to have to manufacture many and fabricate many different sets of teeth as the adult teeth erupt. So what you want to do, what you really want to do, is to prevent tooth decay. And it's really simple and easy to do. And we'll talk about how to care for a child's tooth a little later.
Now, before I ask the next question, and keep this question in mind, it's going to be, can baby bottle decay show up in your teen years? But before you answer that, I've seen where there was a double row of teeth, or you've seen people like that where the teeth was on top of teeth. How does that happen?
Well, it can happen in very many ways. Sometimes God gives us extra teeth.
Okay.
They're called supernumerary.
Uh-huh.
So there's tooth on top of a tooth on top of a tooth. That happens. Not that often, but that happens. But generally, when you see double teeth, most of the time, the baby teeth have been prematurely lost. Adult tooth come in
when you
prematurely.
say prematurely lost, how did that happen?
Probably from decay.
Answer
So
my
when the
question.
tooth is prematurely lost, then you have to, the baby tooth was there to guide the adult tooth in
Okay,
place, right?
okay.
So when it's lost, there's no guidance. So the adult tooth can come in anywhere. So you can get a disfiguring look, and you may need later on braces.
That's
for the
exactly
child.
what you told me earlier, and I just needed to ask that on the air so people know that when you see the double teeth, it ain't always hereditary. Sometimes it can be induced because you didn't take care, you didn't do the right thing for your child's teeth. Now, that question, can baby bottle decay show up in teen years? Because I grew up with a lot of people in their teen, their mouth was just messed up. They were teenagers, 15, 14, and you figured that what were they doing, eating candy their whole life?
And generally, probably, they call it your dental IQ. They probably didn't have the dental IQ significant enough to know that they should brush their teeth at least twice a day and get the plaque off of their teeth to prevent the decay. Maybe they never owned a toothbrush.
Well, so you're saying that baby bottle decay won't show up in the teen years, or?
Well, it's a progressive disease, so that means it's constantly happening. And if it happened in the baby's teeth, when the adult teeth come in, if they don't learn how to prevent it and treat it, it's going to happen in the permanent teeth also.
Gotcha.
So it could start in children and carry on throughout their
Gotcha.
lives unless you intervene with knowledge. And once you put the education there, the knowledge there, how to prevent it and how to treat it, then it's not there anymore.
The next question is, why is it important to have good teeth? Why?
Well, what's the purpose of tooth? First of all, you need teeth to speak. Do you know that if you didn't have any teeth in your mouth whatsoever, your tongue wouldn't be able to do the things that it needed to do to say the P's and the T's and the letters? So the teeth are very essential in speech. Teeth are also essential for appearance. Can you imagine what it's like not to have any teeth at all? It'll look like your chin touched your nose. Okay, so you look like Grandma Moses, wrinkled all around the lips, purse-like wrinkles all around the lips, and it will age you like 20 or 30 years. You will look much older than you have to, because teeth are important because it gives form and shape to the face. No teeth, the face sinks. Okay?
I did see a lot of people, they would, before they smile, they would cover their mouth.
Now, I'll tell you something else, too. If you've ever met anyone that has dentures, when the denture is in, the face fills out. When the denture is out, the face kind of collapses.
Yeah.
So we need it for speech. We need it for appearance. We need it to give form and shape to the face. And we need them for mastication, to chew.
So if a person doesn't have attractive teeth, it could affect their self-esteem.
Absolutely.
As relates to career moves or employment moves or talent moves. You want to be on stage, or you want to deal with people, but you're afraid because you know your mouth don't look good.
I worked at a nursing home, and this was a gentleman who knew that he was terminal. And he had said to his caregiver, he said, I know that I'm going to be dying, but I really don't want to be in my casket without some teeth.
Wow.
Can you please help me get some
Wow.
teeth? So we called one of the charitable societies who was able to find a dentist who would make some teeth for him.
So teeth are very important.
So we made teeth for him because he wanted to look decent in his casket. And it wasn't a week later, he died.
Wow.
So he met his goals. I'm thinking, why did I do that? Maybe if I hadn't gotten the teeth, he'd still be alive today.
Okay, we want to talk about that telethon again, everyone, because, we want you to make it there. Got 2 minutes. Now, the walkathon is at Belle Isle, okay, and it's a fundraiser. You want to speak more about it?
Well, it's by the Wolverine Dental Hygienist Society, and they have this objective, this goal, this desire to stomp out tooth decay in the metropolitan Detroit area. They're having the walkathon on this Saturday, August the 31st, and the registration is at 9, and the walk will proceed at 10 o'clock. The cost, I believe, is $20 or $30, I'm not sure. And what they want to do with the proceeds for that is to supply the funds for their program that they are developing that is going to go throughout the city of Detroit in introducing the knowledge and the education that is needed to teach our parents how to properly care for their children's teeth.
Okay, now that's
their
$30.
goal.
That's $30.
$30, okay.
Okay, now what is this for?
Well, you know what, you've been asking, what is tooth decay? Sometimes you can speak about it, but I wanted to pretty much demonstrate it. I brought for you today an egg that I have put in vinegar, which is a mild acid. And I put it in this vinegar because that's what happens. The bacteria eats sugar and gives off an acid, a mild acid. And this acid clings to the tooth and starts the process of decay. It demineralizes the enamel. Now, I want you to think about it. An egg, the outer shell, is kind of hard, kind of like enamel. It's made of some type of calcium phosphorus preparation that hardens just like teeth, made of hydroxyapatite. And so this acid, when it sits on the teeth long enough, it will break down that enamel. And I brought this to you just to show you. If you look carefully, I don't know if you can show it, at the bubbles around that egg, you can see.
I don't know if they can
Yeah,
see
they
that.
can. If you look carefully, you can see bubbles, and what will happen is the eggshell will dissolve and melt away, and you will be able to see the yolk around the amniotic
I
sac.
can see it coming through now.
Yes, you can. So I wanted to just show you one other thing. This is the result of about 12 hours. So you know that between 12 and 24 hours, you need to brush your teeth in order to remove the acids from around your teeth that cause cavities. I brought another egg, and this is also vinegar. I want to pour it into here. Just want you to watch the bubbling process. It'll take a few seconds, but this egg is going to be filled with bubbles because the acid is acting on that calcium product, breaking it down, softening it, causing it to melt away, and that's the same thing that happens when you get tooth decay.
It's always a pleasure
Thank
for you to be on the show. I mean, you would be a permanent fixture. It would always have a section on this show explaining to parents why they need to do things for their children. And I really appreciate you for being here.
Well, thank you
And
so
like I said, it's just wonderful that you came back, and I hope all my guests are as knowledgeable about their subjects as you are.
What I didn't cover was how to prevent it.
Oh, yes.
Parents, you must. If your baby is 6 months old or younger, use cloth. Wipe their mouths out really good. Wipe the gums, or wipe the cheeks, or wipe the tongue. I know they won't like it at first, but they'll soon get used to it, and they'll start sucking on the cloth. But twice a day at least, clean that infant's mouth out. As the teeth begin to erupt, use that same cloth and begin to wipe around the teeth. And as they become 2 years, get a child's toothbrush, soft bristle, and begin to brush around those teeth. You will be responsible for brushing the teeth for them initially, but by the time they get 2 years old, you should be helping them to learn to brush themselves, and 3 years old, they should begin to brush themselves. Eliminate all of those sugars that you put in those bottles that create that severe decay for those children, and instead use water. Put water in that bottle. They'll get used to the water just like they got used to the juicing.
That is, we run out of time. But once again, like I said, thanks for being here. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen, with a friend of mine, Harnonica Shah. Harnonica Shah is one of the greatest blues harmonica players in the country. He was born in California. Shah also spent time in Somerville, Texas, with his blues harmonica and guitar playing grandfather, Sam Dawson, who would be out in the field singing. And that's how Shah got his passion for the blues. Welcome to the show, Harnonica Shah.
Thank you, Pablo.
How you feel today?
Well, I feel all right. Feel like talking too much.
You got that? You got the harmonica with you?
Oh, yeah. All right.
Tell me, why is the harmonica so important to the blues?
Well, through the experience people went through working in the fields and their troubles and personal troubles, the harp was an instrument that went orally in your mouth, and whatever you felt and lived through, it come out through that harmonica. So a person blow a harmonica, you can tell what kind of person he is just by the way he blew it.
Now, what is the blues?
The blues is something experienced. I would say blues come from black people in America. I would say blues is an experience that black people lived through and actually went through and experienced it. So to ease their burden and troubles, they would sing all their troubles when they develop a spirit within themselves that just made them happy and wanted to continue.
You got one of them harmonicas in your pocket?
Oh yeah.
Pull it out for me. Let me.
Call a big river. Actually, a little marine band.
Give us a feeling of what you would used to hear, how they was doing the fields and.
You been talking about your woman. Lord, man, you could see mine. Every time she started loving, she bring eyesight to the blind.
All right. Now, Jimmy Reed was one of my favorites. He had a different style. How did his style go?
Let me show you. Jimmy Reed blow the A harmonica.
He made that song, You Got Me Running, You Got Me Hiding.
That's what made Jimmy Reed famous right here. What made Jimmy Reed famous is the sound like this. He always mainly hit.
Yeah.
Them high keys was amazing. He mastered the high keys. I would say he's the best I ever heard on them high keys.
And next to you.
Well,
because I ain't never heard nobody as good.
I learned from him and Uncle Jesse. There was guys around Detroit that blowed these.
So who are some of the guys you used to play with?
Oh, I used to play with Yard Dog. He taught me a lot about a harp. The Butler Twins, they taught me. Eddie Burns, Willie D. Warren, Uncle Jesse White, all those men taught me day and night about a harp.
Now you have toured across the United States as well in Europe, Russia, Japan, Australia, and you still do things for free to stay closer to your roots.
That's
because
right.
you give back that way. But you got a number of CDs. How can we get hold of your music? How can we find CDs?
Well, if you see me playing somewhere, I'll call Electrified Records where up in Toronto where I recorded. He told me, understand, they're doing pretty good nationally, and it keeps my name out there.
Yeah.
If I didn't love it, I wouldn't do it.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we always try to bring entertainment at the end of each show, just to make it nice. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. We'll be back. This is Detroit Class 313, the show that brings solutions to the issues and concerns of women. Thank you for watching. We love you. We appreciate you for watching. Thank you. And Harmonica Shah, thanks for coming to the show.